morning. I'm Angelo Castro III.
And I'm Pauline Verzosa, still sitting in for Miss Angela Lagunzad Castro.
Oh, so we're not the Castros.
We're not the Castros this morning.
Uy, madami tayong pag-usapan. We have guests.
We have guests this morning, so abangan po yan, no? Ng mga brunchies.
Mga brunchies. And of course, happy Thursday sa inyo lahat. Kala ko nga Friday. Masyado
Isang araw
excited.
pa.
And ayun, weather check. Tumitingin ako sa labas. Looks nice and sunny po for today. And of course, we have mga ka-brunchies, we have waffles. So usually our viewers kasi, they give their fun facts about what we eat.
Sila ang nagbibigay.
Yeah, sila.
Oh,
So
nice.
I challenge today si Sam Pokemongo to tell me ano ang fun trivia about waffles.
About waffles.
Yeah.
Later, we'll take a bite also para naman matikman natin.
You already took a bite?
Oh, I already did.
You already took a bite.
Binuking mo ako,
All right, we're serving you news in a countdown.
All that and more before your second cup of coffee. This is Brunch. Let's begin our countdown with an appeal from the church. The Archdiocese of Manila calls for peace between President Bongbong Marcos and Vice President Sara Duterte. Jose Cardinal Advincula asks the faithful to pray for the two leaders to exercise statesmanship and that political issues and personal interests may not divide the nation. He also urges government and sectoral leaders to help ease the situation as tensions would only bring harm and further neglect those who need help.
So it's good. That statement was, yung binasa mo was very good. Yung neglect those who need help. Kasi we came from a month that had 3 bagyos, storm.
Correct.
Daming na-displaced na families, daming agricultural crops na nasira. And yet parang we're not talking about it anymore.
So many other issues that the country is currently facing, pero this has been put on the spotlight.
Yeah.
Of course, it's good also that we should be praying for our leaders. I think yung kailangan talaga mag-reflect din sila mismo. Nakakalungkot because yesterday, nung tinanong si VP Sara if maayos pa yung alita nila, actually she said nasa point of no return eh. And hearing that is quite alarming and parang...
That's right. Pero actually, pag sa point naman sa side ni PBBM, usually yun ang maiisip mo for him ang point of no return because you wanted to cut my head off, you wanted to throw my father into the sea. Now you want to assassinate my wife, ako, tsaka yung pinsan ko.
Cousin.
But ang problema, if you take a look yung political risk index natin for investors, medyo hindi maganda ang score natin.
Okay.
Kasi if the political risk index is high, the other investors abroad will see this as kahit may pledges na tayo na kinuha ni BBM, will see this as, this is not stable. You have the 2 highest leaders of the land going neck and neck.
Actually, that's interesting, no? Now that you pointed it, may economic implications din pala itong political tensions
because
of our leaders.
Most of the projections we had for this year's budget, may assumption din naman tayo na ilalagay, kahit 5 to 10% assumption na these investments will come in para ma-augment yung budget for the next year, para hindi tayo mag-negative. Ang problema, nag-aaway ang dalawa, people are rethinking their positions.
Yan, nako.
Anyway, madami pa tayo pag-uusapan, so let's move on to the next. Placing at the 9th spot are some world news. The International Criminal Court, or ICC Chief Prosecutor, has re-questioned judges to issue an arrest warrant against the head of Myanmar's military regime. ICC Prosecutor Karim Khan accused Senior General Ming Aung Lang of committing crimes against humanity for the massive deportation and persecution of the Rohingya Muslim community. The situation of the Rohingyans reportedly worsened when Ming took over the Myanmar government from elected leader Aung San Suu Kyi in 2021. Nearly 1 million Rohingyans were forced to flee to Bangladesh to escape from what they call an ethnic cleansing campaign by the government against them. Khan said he will ask the judges to issue arrest warrants to other Myanmar officials.
Ayan. So yung Rohingya Muslims, actually sila daw yung world's most persecuted minority.
That is correct because they are stateless. So being stateless, they have no access to education. They have no access to social funds or pensions or any form of assistance. In other words, kung may tutulong sa kanila, out of na lang, humanity and na lang awa. Pero wala silang access. And since 2017, that's why they've been stateless.
Oo nga. Yun nga daw. 1.1 million Rohingyas dyan sa Southeast Asia. Pero alam mo, actually, sabi nung Myanmar, hindi rin daw sila member ng ICC. So similar
Similar
argument
situation.
sa Pilipinas Pero itong United Nations, they did allege na yung soldiers, police and Buddhist residents have raised hundreds of villages in Myanmar. May incidents of torture,
Kasi cleansing sila
mass killing, pati gang rape. So that's where it's coming from, itong whole arrest
That's
order.
been a long-standing issue kasi ethnic cleansing, massive killing ang nangyayari dyan. They've likened it to yung nangyari sa Holocaust. Very
Holocaust.
similar na daw kasi cleansing. Ito sa cleansing also of non-white, di ba? White, if you're not of white origin background, hindi ka malinis. So, I hope, well, with regards to about yung sa, yung the head of the regime, although they're not members of ICC, that this limits his movements. So in the future, if something happens in Myanmar, nagkagulo, he cannot leave. The moment he leaves the country, steps into an Interpol country that has ties to the Interpol, huli siya.
Huli siya. All right, ito naman po, still here in Asia, China said the decision of U.S. President-elect Donald Trump to nominate anti-China diplomatic and security officials cannot change Taiwan's status as part of their country. Now, they were referring to Senator Marco Rubio, who was nominated as a Secretary of State, and Representative Mike Waltz as the National Security Advisor. Rubio has previously expressed his support for Taiwan as an independent state from China. However, Beijing reiterated that Taiwan is still their province.
Yun. So ito yung mga hindi daw to Republican appointees, MAGA appointees daw.
MAGA, Make America Great Again.
So Trump said all these appointees that he has, he's learned this lesson. That's why he failed daw in Trump 1.0. So 2.0, he's appointing those who believe in the MAGA cause.
Okay.
So that's why there's all of them. If you see, isa ng stance nila about recognizing Taiwan and anti-China stance. So you'll see that worsen sa January.
Oo, pag upo na ni President-elect Donald Trump.
2.0.
2.0.
2.0. Okay, let's move on. On our top 8, President Bongbong Marcos is back in the country after his brief visit to the UAE. Marcos met with UAE President Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan with the state's Vice President and Prime Minister. The President said his one-day working visit was in commemoration of its 50 years of diplomatic ties with the Philippines. His visit had to be cut short for him to attend to relief and reconstruction activities following recent typhoons.
I reaffirmed the Philippines' commitment to further strengthen our bilateral ties, progressing towards new spheres of engagement. I look forward to the implementation of several bilateral agreements.
Ngayon, pinag-uusapan natin kanina about hindi napapansin yung bagyo. May reconstruction activities pa. Very good, very good. Sige, at madami pa tayong pag-uusapan. Hindi.
Okay, marami pa tayong pag-uusapan. Pero
later,
ito,
but yeah, go ahead.
so later we will be having ito si Secretary
Larry Gadon. Yes,
because kahapon nag-file
Init.
na siya ng disbarment case sa Vice-Presidente naman.
Is this her second disbarment case?
I know she's already facing 2 earlier disbarment cases, so this might be the third.
This might be the third.
Oh,
We'll clarify
kahapon
that.
pinag-usapan natin, di ba? Wala pang disbarment case kasi dun sa statements niya of her instructions
Yes,
to
that's
kill
right.
daw itong Pangulo natin.
So, ang basis ni Secretary Gadon is yung kill? Kasi yung isa was
Yes.
about
Exhuming.
the late Ferdinand Marcos Sr., no? Okay.
So, ito na yung possibly yung third disbarment case. Tingnan natin din kung i-consolidate yan ng ng Supreme Court.
Ayan.
Okay, pero ito po coming up. As we said, one senator or close to former President Rodrigo Duterte has been linked to illegal drugs.
And what are the new cases and petition filed against Vice President Sara Duterte?
We are just getting started, but we have more of our top 10 news when Brunch returns. Keep it here on One News. Welcome back. You are still watching Brunch here on One News.
All right, let's move on. Settling in at the 7th spot is about the Commission on Elections. Comelec is seeking to implement anti-discrimination campaign rules for the upcoming midterm elections. Comelec Chairman George Garcia said the policy aims to provide equal opportunities to all candidates, regardless of their sexual identity and orientation and social status. This comes after they forged an agreement with Pantay. It is a youth organization group that advocates for gender equality. Garcia said the rules for the anti-discrimination policy will be released soon.
Importante yan yung equality.
Well, that's very good. That's very good that Comelec is moving in the right direction in terms of policies. Also, they have several policies that even the playing field with regards to candidates with a lesser amount of money to spend.
Sa campaign.
Little by little, we're getting where we want to be. Ang last problem that we have to solve is election-related violence.
Yesterday, di ba, we reported may ilang Comelec officials sa Mindanao na napatay. So,
Yes,
it's
that's
something
right.
very alarming. Pero ito, no, yung first nominee of Gabriela na si Sara Elago, sabi rin niya, sana meron ding guidelines specifically against harassment on women poll aspirants. So, kasi syempre, yung mga kababaihan, di ba, usually victims nga rin sila ng discrimination or harassment. And sana masama daw din masama yan sa social media guidelines na pinapropose ng Comelec.
Okay.
All right, let's move on with our countdown. On our top 6 is Larry Gadon, the presidential advisor for poverty alleviation, wants Vice President Sara Duterte disbarred. For Gadon, Duterte's insults and tirades should not be condoned, especially when she went on to threaten the lives of President Bongbong Marcos, First Lady Liza, and House Speaker Martin Romualdez.
Napaka-immature. Kulang na kulang sa statesmanship. At saka, hindi siya nag-aaral. Basta na lang siya nagsasalita. Mag-resign siya. Dahil sinisiguro ko, sigurado ako na sa next Congress, siya ay i-impeach.
Now let's talk more about that disbarment complaint.
We have Secretary Gadon himself now joining us on the line. Secretary, good morning. Can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can hear you
Okay.
loud and clear. Good morning, Pauline, and good morning, Diego.
Ayan.
And good morning to all the viewers.
Yes. Good morning to you as well, Secretary. Ito po, first, sir, can you clarify yung what motivated you to file this case and urge the Supreme Court to initiate this motu proprio proceeding against po sa Vice President for her disbarment as a lawyer?
Yes, because I want to test the fairness and the objectivity of the Supreme Court. Because in my case, I committed a lot less offense. They immediately suspended me without due process, without asking for my explanation, and they disbarred me on the day, right on the day of my appointment as secretary. So, while Sara Duterte, when she was mayor of Davao City, she inflicted injury to an officer of the court, the sheriff of RTC Davao, who is an officer of the court of the Supreme Court. She inflicted injury by punching her when this officer of the court was merely enforcing and implementing an order, a valid order of the court. Now, many years have passed, but they did not. The Supreme Court did not even bother to call the attention of Sara Duterte. And in the case of Laila de Lima, she admitted before the whole country during a Senate hearing, televised and broadcast all over the networks, that she has an illicit, immoral, and illegal relationship with her married driver. And yet, the Supreme Court did not bother to suspend nor disbar her. And Laila de Lima also defied an order of the court. The PRO issued by the court, temporary restraining order, directed against the DOJ, of which she was the head at the time, preventing her from stopping President Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo from seeking medical treatment abroad. And yet, the Supreme Court did not bother to sanction her. Chel Jokno falsified and forged documents right in the hearing in the Supreme Court. During the petition for writ of kalakasan, and you remember that the fishermen denied that they signed any document authorizing Chel Jokno, and yet the Supreme Court did not even bother to sanction him. While in my case, in the case of Attorney Larry Gadon, I was immediately suspended on a mere letter sent by the Journalist Association of the Philippines. And not only that, I was immediately suspended without asking for my explanation, without due process.
So with that, Attorney Secretary Gadon, I'd like to ask, there are other disbarment complaints against the Vice President. I think yours would be the third. Correct me if I'm wrong,
Yes,
Secretary.
the third already.
Okay, I'd like to ask, ano po yung specifics nyo tsaka yung ibang disbarment? Pwede ba, may chance ba na ma-consolidate na lang ito para itakal ng Supreme Court as one complaint?
I do not know how they will treat it, because the first complaint was the punching the sheriff of the court, and the second was an anonymous letter, just like in my case, an anonymous letter also, saying that she will exhume the body of the late President Ferdinand Marcos Sr.
Yes,
and she will throw it
So West
at
Philippine Sea.
West Philippine Sea. Oo. And then this one, she uttered expletives against President Bongbong Marcos, Lisa, and Martin.
That's right.
And she even threatened, and she even confirmed that she has already hired an assassin.
Yes, which she denied later on.
Sabi niya, this is no joke.
Yeah. Pero Secretary,
It came from her mouth.
yeah, I'd like to clarify about yung nangyari sa sheriff. No? Is it the duty po rin ba po of the Supreme Court to make sure that yung mga officers of the court are in order, or should have someone filed it long ago? At if ever, bakit hindi po na-file ng case at then Mayor Sara Duterte or Vice Mayor Sara Duterte?
No. There was a case.
There was?
Yes.
Okay.
A case was filed by the Sheriff's Association of the Philippines.
Ano po nangyari sa case?
Wala. Hindi pinansin ng korte.
Kasi it was in the local court, Secretary?
No, it's in the Supreme Court.
Supreme Court, okay.
Yes. That was more than 6 years ago.
Okay.
Okay, Secretary, ito nga po, there were 2 earlier filed disbarment cases already. Ano pong gagawin nyo, Secretary, in case the court dismisses your petition or hindi aksyonan agad? What next steps will you be taking?
I am going to file an impeachment case against the justices of the Supreme Court for failure to administer justice equally to all.
Okay, yesterday, Secretary, nung nagka-ambush interview kayo, we played your soundbite earlier. You were saying you regret supporting the Dutertes.
Yes.
Secretary, alam naman natin, back in 2022, tumakbo po kayo bilang senador under the Uniteam ticket, ano?
Yes.
Secretary, can you explain more yung context nitong pag-withdraw nyo ng support, or you regret your support for the Dutertes? Pati challenge nyo rin itong si Vice President na mag-resign siya.
Yes, kasi naman ganito yan Puro kasinungalingan ang ginagawa niya ngayon. Binabaliktad pa niya ang administrasyon na madami daw kaming ginagawang anomalya. Siya nga itong nag-umpisa niyan In the first place, who asked for a budget more than 2 billion for the office of the Vice President? Siya. It's a budget more than double than Lenny's budget. And when, of course, the congressman will ask her, why ask for so much budget? So, inisa-isa yun. Nung inisa-isa yun, nalaman na ang laki-laki pala ng nilaan niya sa confidential funds and intelligence funds. So, she was asked, why do you need a confidential fund and intelligence funds like this? You are not a police agency.
Yes.
You are not a military agency. Why would you ask for something like this? And then, nahukay tuloy yung COA report na in the previous year of 2023, meron pala siyang dinisburse na 125 million in just 11 days. Can you imagine
That's
that?
right. Oo.
She is not a police agency. She has no network to disburse that much amount of money in just 11 days. Kahit nga yung police agencies, military agency, hindi nila kayang gawin yun. Ng 11 days, ibusin mo yung daang milyon na budget for intelligence
That's
fund.
right. Pero,
Wala kang network.
That's right, Secretary. I'd like to ask now, since you're filing a disbarment case, sabi ng iba, are you going to also mulling over filing a possible impeachment case or any criminal complaints against the Vice President? And ito na ba ang wala na pong pwedeng mangyaring repair of friendship between you and the Dutertes?
Well, I don't think ma-repair pa yan Kasi unang-una, sila nag-umpisa nito If not for that rants about the rantings about the confidential funds, so hindi naman ito mangyayari ang mahirap kasi dito kay VP Sara, siya na nga yung humingi, siya pa yung may bali, siya pa yung galit, siya pa yung maingay. Take for example, na-discover nito lately, who is Mary Grace Piatos? Bakit may 25 million disbursement dyan? And then they cannot prove that the person existed.
Yes.
And hindi lang yon, meron pang Fernando Tempura, meron pang Carmelito Nova, meron pang Uwishi.
Yes.
Very obvious that these names were just invented. And then, tapos daang milyon gagamitin mo dyan? Tapos siya pa ngayon ang galit, siya pa maingay. Bakit daw siya tinatanong?
So, Secretary, sabi ng git nyo may Uwishi, may Tempura. So, may grounds po ata for impeachment, for sabi ng mga iba. Kayo po, would you spearhead any impeachment moves?
Hindi na kasi yung mga congressman na mismo ang nag-spearhead ngayon
So meron po, may linuluto po.
Meron na silang plano.
Okay.
They already have a plan, but I don't know if when they are going to initiate this, no? Because hindi naman ako nakikipag-usap sa kanila. I shy away from communication with this honorable congressman kasi ayoko masabi na may influence ako or what. Alam mo naman, sekretary ako
Yes.
Despite some invitations for me to just to attend as a spectator, hindi ako nagpupunta.
Per Secretary, no, sinabi nyo rin kahapon, sinisiguro nyo, o sigurado ako na sa next Congress siya ay i-impeach. What did you mean by that, Secretary?
Kasi sa ngayon, the only reason why these congressmen are procrastinating in filing the impeachment case against her is because it's already Christmas season. In a few days, magde-declare na ng recess ang Congress. And in the resumption of sessions in January, siguro mga 2 to 3 sessions lang yan, magde-declare na sila ng recess. Kasi election period na, campaign season na. So, wala na talagang time. You have to remember that the impeachment proceedings takes time. Ako noon kay Sireno, inabot ako ng 8 months.
Yes, that's right. Pero Secretary, madami nagsasabi kasi that's why they're trying to also to delay it is because although meron po tayong numero for impeachment in Congress, sa Senate po it's a little friendlier towards the Vice President at baka mag-iba po ang makeup ng Senado after elections which would be better time to file the impeachment.
Hindi naman. Kasi alam mo, ang mga senador naman, mga level-headed naman yan. If they can see that there are really anomalous transactions in the OVP budget, hindi naman mga tanga yung mga yan. We cannot assume that they will just keep a blind eye on this. Ayan, meron kang Mary Grace Piatos, 25 million.
May
yung
Tempura.
Si Tempura, 10 million. Ganyan. Are you going to turn a blind eye on this? Di yung taong bayan naman magagalit sa'yo.
That's right.
Per Secretary, lilangan lang natin, yung disbarment case is not really doon sa confidential funds ng OVP. It's more of yung kanyang threat sa Pangulo. Doon po nag-uugat yung inyong complaint.
Yes, doon sa threat sa Pangulo at yung pagmumura niya. Ang nakatwiran ko nga dito, if the Supreme Court can disbar me, why not Sara, who committed a much graver offense?
So, Secretary, kayo po yung nagpadala ng anonymous complaint? Kayo po yun?
Hindi. Yung
iba pa yun.
Cadaver, yung papahukay.
Hindi po.
Yeah, it's an anonymous letter lang daw. And yet, the Supreme Court did not even bother to act on it. Well, even if it is an anonymous letter, like what they did to me, anonymous letter yung ginamit nila sa akin, why not apply it to Sara? Diba? And not only that, the statement of VP Sara about the remains of the late President Ferdinand Marcos to be exhumed and thrown to the sea it's already a public knowledge. You don't have to prove that. This is what we call judicial notice. I don't have to prove that she said it. It's already all over the news, all over the newspapers, and she herself said it. So hindi na kailangan na yan. Dapat nga yan yang agad-agad yan, suspension like what they did to me.
Pero,
bakit ako?
Opo.
Porket kasi anti-Marcos kasi itong Supreme Court the Supreme Court actually is a damaged institution.
Pero Secretary, do you think may implications ba to para kay Vice President Sara? Because as a Vice President, hindi naman po siya nagpa-practice ng law as of now while she's in position. So you think that will have any implications on her legal career na ma-disbar siya?
Yes. Ang sabi kasi ng canon of ethics of lawyers, even in your personal life, you have to observe proper decorum. Sabi nila, yun ang sabi nila sa akin, sa case ko. So even if that incident did not involve lawyering, ganun pa rin ang sinabi nila. So basta pag sa akin, sila, very forceful. Pag sa iba, baliwala lang. Mas malaki kasalanan ng iba. Like for example, ito nga, yung kay Sara, itong kay Dilima, itong kay Chel Jokno, mas mabigat ng 100 times yung kasalanan nila. And yet, ito pa pala. When Raisa Robles filed a case against me, it was dismissed by the prosecution service. You know why? Because they cannot prove that I was the one who uploaded the video because it was sent privately. They uploaded it. Ngayon, walang certification ng CIDG, Cybercrime Division, which is a requirement, which is a legal requirement for you to file a cybercrime libel case. There has to be a certification from the Cybercrime Division that it originated from the person that you are suing. Walang ganun. So it was dismissed. Nag-file pa silang motion for recon, dismissed na naman. And yet the Supreme Court did not even bother to read my pleading.
Okay.
Basta na lang nila
All right. But on that note, maraming salamat po for taking the time to talk to us this morning. That was Secretary Larry Gadon, Presidential Advisor for Poverty Alleviation.
Maraming salamat, Pauline and Diego. Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat.
Okay, good morning. All right, let's move on. Coming in at the fifth spot is about Pastor Apollo Quiboloy. The Kingdom of Jesus Christ leader was transferred to Pasig City Jail yesterday. Quiboloy arrived in his new jail cell at around 5 in the afternoon. He will be placed in the holding area for the next 2 weeks with other inmates. Before this, Quiboloy was confined in the Philippine Heart Center for his infections from dental implants. Quiboloy's legal team said the religious leader is staying resilient as he faces multiple charges, including child and sexual abuse.
How is he now? Resilient and fighting. Yung MR namin pending pa, pero harapin niya yon. Sabi nga niya, if it is the will of the Father, I will follow it.
Yun, ang kini-question kasi ng iba, even yung mga those involved in the case is why are you going to if he will be placed together with the general population, it's because although we agree na kailangan patas ang pagtrato sa mga individuals who are facing crimes, regardless of being rich, poor, or whatever status, but of course may security implications to si Quiboloy. So we need him safe until such time that he can really face the court and we could rule in finality as to ano yung cases niya.
So, no special treatment naman, pero kailangan na rin protektahan.
You have to secure him.
All right, let's move on with our countdown. Coming in at top 4, the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency links Senator Bongo to an individual allegedly involved in illegal drugs. Here's our report.
The Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency released a matrix during the hearing of the House Quad Committee on Wednesday. It shows the personalities allegedly behind the 3.6 billion pesos worth of illegal drugs confiscated in a warehouse in Mexico, Pampanga. The warehouse was owned by Empire 999 of Willie Ong and A.D. Yang. They are both linked to alleged Chinese drug lord Alan Lim, also known as Lin Wei-Xiong. Lim is said to be connected to Senator Bongo, who was former President Rodrigo Duterte's special assistant.
Alan Lin is a close friend of then Special Assistant to the President, Christopher Bongo. Alan Lin is a casino junket operator who is involved in the kidnapping of high-roller Chinese gamblers in Okada, Manila.
So, ang ibig bang sabihin, involved din si Senator Bongo sa drugs since kinonect niyo po siya. So, ano po yung ibig sabihin po nung arrow niyo?
They are just close friends. It is not specific that they are involved in drugs.
Close friends. So, alam po ni Bongo ang mga trabaho po ni Alan Lin.
That could be answered by Senator Bongo, ma'am, not us yet.
Congresswoman Franz Castro then issued a stern warning to PIDEA.
Pero sorry po Asek Gumban, wag po kayong gagawa ng ganyang matrix na incriminating at kino-connect nyo tapos ang title nyo ay illegal and pogo drugs connection.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, maybe the title is wrong.
Senator Bongo, in response, denied the allegations.
Napaka-irresponsable naman po ng PIDEA sa kanilang ihahayag sa mga hearings. Hindi po kami close friends ni Alan Lim at mas lalong hindi po ako involved sa illegal drugs.
Former Senator Antonio Trillanes IV also attended the House hearing. Trillanes said he also has drug matrix of his own.
Papakita ko yung koneksyon ni Duterte sa illegal na droga, no? Papakilala ko yung buong sindikato ng Duterte Drug Syndicate. So, lahat ng mga personalities na yon.
On another issue, Trillanes believes the former president should be held accountable for allegedly inciting the military to sedition. Recall that Duterte asked the military to rethink their support for Marcos amid his feud with Vice President Sara Duterte.
Ako, ang advice ko sa mga otoridad ay huwag magkumpiyansa, no? Kailangan siguraduhin na na walang makukuha ng mga officers itong mga Duterte, no? Kasi malaking problema 'yan. Kaya kailangan continuous monitoring. Pero ako naman, based dun sa monitoring din namin, hindi naman marami, kundi merong may simpatya kay Duterte.
Trillanes also plans to file an impeachment complaint against Vice President Sara Duterte.
Kailangan matanggal ito sa pwesto. Nakita niyo ba? Sabi ko may topak eh.
On accusations that he is just an attack dog of the Marcos administration, Trillanes had this to say.
Alam niyo, si Digong, at this point in time, kung pangahawakan mo yung sasabihin niya, talagang dadaling ka niyan sa impyerno. You would have to be so naive, so politically dense, or talagang cult follower ka to actually believe him.
For News 5, I'm Marian Enriquez. We are One News.
Don't go away, we're not done yet. May special guest pa tayo. Stay with us.
Alright, bago tayo magtuloy sa countdown natin, brunch break muna tayo. Ito po, one of the most hyped films in this year's Metro Manila Film Festival is titled Uninvited, directed by none other than Dan Villegas. Now, it's about a grieving mother that went to a billionaire's birthday party to seek revenge.
Yes, and the film has a star-studded cast including Vilma Santos Recto, Aga Mulak, and Nadine Lustre, among others. We are now joined by some of the film's cast members. Welcome, guys!
Alright, we have...
Alam mo, itong mga kaedad ko yan eh.
Oy, naks, talaga ba?
Or anyway, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having
It's a pleasure to have you.
We have RK Bagatsing, of course, and Mr. Ron Angeles. Ayan.
First off, I'd like to ask, ang ganda ng terno nyo.
Hindi kami nag-usap.
Di kami nag-usap.
Pagkita lang namin kanina sa lobby na, oh, nice color.
Initially, I thought may tema ba yung film na brown, no? Wala pa.
Wala naman.
Wala naman. Maybe because you spend so much time together. Di ba ganun yun? Na
Medyo
you think
nagiging
alike na.
wavelength
Oo.
kami.
Ayan. Pero let's talk about The Uninvited. It's an upcoming film for the MMFF this year. Talk about your roles. And unang-una, how did you feel nung nalaman nyo na nakas kayo sa film na to? Let's start with Ron.
At first, sobrang saya ko and I'm so excited dun about the film. Pero nung tinanong ko kung sino yung mga kasama namin, parang, kaya ko ba yan?
Na-pressure ka
I mean,
tuloy, ah.
yeah. Parang nung nalaman ko yung talagang lineup ng cast, power cast, sabi ko, sobra na akong kinabahan. And wala nang araw na hindi ko siya inisip hanggat di kami nakapag day one. Ganon yung pressure sa part ko.
Ganun na rin ba for you, RK?
Ganun din sa akin. Pinitch sa akin ni Direk Dan Villegas and Direk Tonet down of Project 8 yung role. At ang pinaka, I think, anchor nila was, kasama mo si Miss Vilma Santos. And sabi ko,
Done.
you don't have to say anything. Game.
Sold ka na kaagad.
Sold na.
But you said roles. Let's talk about yung roles nyo. Let's start off with you. Ano yung role mo dito sa... Without spoilers, without giving spoilers.
Try my best. Pero I played the role of Jigger Zulueta. He's a go-to guy ng family ng character ni Sir Aga.
Yung billionaire.
Yes, ng billionaire.
Okay.
I think ako yung mga maareglo ng mga problema. But at the same time, I will do anything for my boss, which is si character ni Sir Aga, the billionaire. And the question is, hanggang saan ang pwede kong ipaglaban?
Yan ang walang spoiler.
Yan, wala.
Kailangan manood sila.
Kailangan manood sila para malaman nila kung ano yung mga bagay.
Ikaw naman, Ron. Tell us about your role.
I played the role of Mark Lozano. Partner siya ni Nicole Vega. Nicole Vega, yun po yung character ni Nadine Lustre.
Nadine, yes.
So, parang ang pinaka ginawa dito ang tanong, hanggang saan din ba yung pagmamahal mo sa tao? And sobrang loyal ko kasi dun kay Nicole.
Ayun.
May underlying theme na hanggang saan. Di ba? Hanggang saan ang loyalty, hanggang saan ang pagmamahal.
It's really extremes eh.
It's really extreme.
Extremes eh. Ngayon, saan ang hangganan mo ng extremes para...
So yun ang overall, okay.
Diba?
Hanggang saan?
Pero of course, I'd like to ask, what was it like? I mean, of course, matagal na kayo nag-acting na rin, but what was it like being with Vilma and Aga in a film? Sana pag first scene nyo, yung first take nyo together.
O kasi building up, di ba may pressure building up to day one ng inyong pag-film for this movie.
Ganto kami. Ganto kami talaga nung una naming nakita si Miss V, si Ate V. Sobrang nakaka-starstruck. As in, siyempre, ilang decades na sa industry.
Yes.
Then magiging part ka nung legacy niya which is pwede mong makwento sa mga future kids mo, di ba?
Yes.
So, yung saya, iba po talaga. Then, masaya sila katrabaho as in. Then, makikita mo kung bakit tinatawag siya si Ate B na Star for All Season, bakit Ate V si Ate B off-cam.
Yeah.
So, nandun yung banding ng bawat isa and kung gaano siya kabait sa bawat isa from the crew, staff, lahat.
Yun yung biggest takeaway namin working with Sir Aga, Miss Vilma. Kaya pala ganun yung impact nila sa industry because on and off cam, napakahusay nila. You know, husay sa pag-arte, but at the same time, off-cam, napakahusay makisama sa mga tao. And to answer your question, kung ano yung naramdaman ko with my first scene with Sir Aga, kinabahan ako.
Talaga ba?
Tinanggap ko na lang, as in lakas ng kabog ng dibdib ko. And sinabi ko sa kanya yun. Sabi ko,
So you told
kinakabahan.
Aga? You told
Yeah, I
Aga?
told him. And then sabi niya, it's okay. Kabahan tayo ng sabay. Gawin natin to.
So sabi niya,
Yeah,
kabahan daw
oo.
kayo ng sabay. May kaba pa pala si Sir Aga Mula.
Hindi ako naniwala, pero nakatulong that time.
Alright, I want to ask you guys naman, how was it like working also with director Dan Villegas for this film? Sabi niyo, he presented the pitch, the film to you guys. But working with Sir Dan Villegas on set for this film, what was that experience like?
Working with Direct Dan Villegas is one for the book talaga. And kilala naman natin si Direct Dan kung ano yung mga kalibre ng pelikula na ginagawa niya. So, nung naka-work ko siya, ganun din. Nung first day ko sa kanya, sobrang kabado ako kasi hindi ako nagsasalita and everything. Then, in-approach niya ako. Sabi niya, bro, relax ka lang. Sabi niya, chill, hinga mo yan, ganyan-ganyan. So, nung nagkaroon na kami ng interaction ni Direct, doon na yung parang, okay, sige, go na. So, masaya. I mean, very chill, pero alam namin yung goal. Kumbaga, focus talaga kami. Chill kami, pero kailangan magawa namin yung work namin. Ma-deliver namin siya ng smooth.
Kasi comeback film to ni Direct Dan after 6 years, di ba? Ito, RK, I wanted to ask you, may tagline kasi yung Uninvited na hindi lang to basta party. Ano ba yung sabihin, no? I mean, without
spoilers again. Manonood pa kami.
Kasi hindi lang to basta party, pero we're seeing some footage nung film. Parang thriller drama siya. So, ang context nito, parang nasa party ba kayo?
So, ang pinaka pwede kong i-share is nangyari lang siya ng isang gabi.
So the premise is the whole story evolves on that day itself, on that night itself?
The night itself,
Okay.
Yung character ni Miss Vilma ay pumunta sa isang party na hindi siya invited and doon nagsimula yung mga sanga-sanga ng kwento ng bawat character.
Ang ganda ng treatment ng film na to. Saan kayo nag-film? Kasi parang hindi sa Pilipinas, no? Ang ganda din yung setting of the whole film, the whole story.
I think yun din ang magaling sa production because if you can see the place, akala mo isang lugar lang siya. Actually, iba-iba eh. Meron sa Tarlac, meron sa Batangas. Iba-ibang lugar din
Ang ganda
siya
ng set design, pati yung mga costumes nyo, no? Talagang pinag-isipan para sa Uninvited.
That's right. Pero dinawin ko, no? Kasi based na narinig ko sa kwento nyo, no? Parang hindi natin malalaman or the viewer who is going to watch a movie won't expect to know kung sino talaga ang kontrabida until the very last scene, until dumating yung credits. Ganun ba ang ma-expect namin? What kind of thrills? Pag mahina ang puso ko at may high blood pressure ako, should I watch this movie?
I think yung mga motivation ng bawat character yung unti-unting marireveal eh. But one thing's for sure, yung character ni Miss Vilma is going to a party and will have her revenge. Because of something that happened na,
yung reason na yun kung bakit niya nagagawa is sobrang kailangan nating alamin. Sobrang deep kasi niya. So, I mean, habang while the story is going, doon mo malalaman, kaya niya pala ginawa to.
Spinoil mo sa akin kanina.
Na-spoil ko na ba? Nag-google naman yan. So, pero para to know the full story, kailangan panoorin yan ng mga viewers. And special yan kasi 50th anniversary ng Metro Manila Film Festival. So please invite our viewers to watch Uninvited. Guys, go.
Yes, again, we're inviting you to watch Uninvited, Metro Manila Film Festival. Showing na siya, December 25. It's produced by Mentork in collaboration with Project 8 and to be distributed by Warner Brothers.
So yun, muli po ay inimbitahan namin kayo na manood sa darating na Kapaskuhan. December 25 na po yan, Uninvited. Supportahan po natin ang lahat ng pelikulang Pilipino, pero wag po natin kalimutan panoorin ang Uninvited.
Uninvited,
Yun muna,
December
panoorin nila.
25. Ayan, maraming salamat. Of course, RK Bagatsing and Ron Angeles for joining us this morning on Brunch.
All right, we'll be back with more stories after the break. Just keep it here on One News. Welcome back. You're still watching Brunch here on One News. That was a discussion we had with the Young Bloods.
Ay, young blood talaga. Kasama ako dun
With the Young Bloods nga. Kaya naman Sige, let's move on. Coming in hot at the third spot, the Justice Department is currently studying if Vice President Sara Duterte violated the anti-terror law. Based on their initial findings, VP Sara's threats to President Bongbong Marcos are violations to the law's Section 4, terrorism, and Section 5, commit to terrorism. They said the Vice President already made steps that can threaten the life of the President. Recall that VP Sara said she already tasked someone to kill PBBM, First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos, and House Speaker Martin Romualdez if she gets killed first. In response, VP Sara said the government is using what she calls as the Arnie Teves playbook against her. Recall that the Anti-Terrorism Council tagged Teves as a terrorist for the numerous killings in Negros Oriental.
Pinipilit na lang talaga nila na gawa ng kaso yung mga remarks ko. Tatawa ako sa violations on the anti-terrorism law. Hindi actionable ang maghabilin ka. Walang active threat kung hindi ako mamatay. Walang mali doon. Walang illegal doon.
And now moving over to our top two, the AFP denies reports of withdrawing all of Vice President Sara Duterte's soldiers from her security and protection group. AFP Chief of Staff General Romeo Browner clarified that members of Duterte's security group will be replaced. This as the PNP files a subpoena that seeks to investigate members of her security team.
Hindi po totoo yun na I will take over the VP SPG. It is still under the Presidential Security Command. Hindi ko po kayang gawin yon dahil marami po tayong iniisip na iba pang mga security issues ng ating bansa.
The PNP, for its part, has deployed 25 personnel to the VP SPG in anticipation of the possible recall of military personnel. PNP spokesperson Jean Fajardo said the AFP requested for the police personnel for Duterte's security.
On the part of the PNP po, we don't have any information with respect po sa alleged threat against the Vice President. But nonetheless, the PNP is open to collaboration and cooperation.
On our top spot are the recent charges and petitions filed against Vice President Sara Duterte. These include a disbar petition from a presidential advisor and multiple complaints from a Quezon City Police for alleged assault. Now, here's the report.
The Philippine National Police has released a video of Vice President Sara Duterte and her staff allegedly harassing a police doctor. In this video, the Vice President was talking to Police Lieutenant Colonel Van Jason Villamor, who was tasked to assist Office of the Vice President Chief of Staff Attorney Zulaika Lopez in the Veterans Memorial Center. But later on, VP Security Head Colonel Raymond Lachica was pushing Villamor away. Because of this incident, Villamor filed direct assault, disobedience to authority, and grave coercion against VP Sara, Colonel Lachica, and other staff members of the OVP.
Hindi po namin inaasahan na magiging ganon ang kahihinatnan in the performance of our duties, and then naging ganon pa.
Over at the Supreme Court, Presidential Advisor for Poverty Alleviation Larry Gadon filed a disbarment complaint against VP Sara. This petition is also on top of another disbarment complaint filed by an anonymous sender for her remarks against the late dictator Ferdinand Marcos Sr. In a press conference last night, VP Sara brushed off the new complaints filed against her.
Lahat na, babanatan natin siya, tingnan natin dito kung saan yung tatama. Sanay kami sa ganyan, ang mga politiko. So ibig sabihin, hindi ka na nasa stress sa ganyan.
She also said this is about the ongoing talks about the possible impeachment complaints against her.
They can always try na mag-impeachment. If I get impeached, then that is my end. Tapos.
Alright, so ayan na nga, no? Daming legal battles na possible na harapin ng ating Vice President.
They call it an avalanche of cases.
Avalanche of cases. Actually, kagabi kausap namin sa Big Story itong si Yusek Jesse Andres ng DOJ. Sabi niya, out of the 3 cases, yung grave threat, yung inciting to sedition, and yung anti-terrorism yung non-bailable.
Yeah,
so if ever dun siya mabibigyan ng arrest warrant or order, non-bailable yun para sa Vice President.
But then again, if it happens to, kasi parang I don't recall in history sa Philippines na may Vice President na kinulong. I wonder how they will detain it. Malamang you cannot put the Vice President in the general population cell.
Correct.
You have to secure the Vice, kasi Vice President pa naman siya
Pero sinabi naman ng DOJ, no, they explained na the Vice President is not immune from suit.
Masalo na with cases like this. Oo, medyo mabigat daw.
Pero kahit may masampan siya ng kaso, she will still remain the Vice President. But still, she is not immune from suit, unlike the President of the Philippines or the country. So yan.
Much to unpack from
So
this.
much to unpack, pero it's not yet the end of the week. May Friday pa bukas.
May weekend pa. Sa weekend, ang dami update yan.
Pero bukas, magbabalik na si Miss Angela Lagunzad Castro. So,
And now we are the Castros again.
You will be the Castros again tomorrow.
All right. Thank you for joining us again, Pauline. It was a pleasure.
Yes, it was
hanging
a
with the
pleasure
young bloods.
Ayan. And that wraps up today's episode of Brunch. Join us again, or join them again tomorrow. I'm Pauline Verzosa.
And I'm Angelo Castro III. We are One News.
All sides, all the time.